Greetings, Starfighters. Welcome to another quarantine edition of Shameless Cashgrab. Well, okay, not literally quarantine. I can leave the house for my job, which is considered essential, and for food. That's pretty much it at the moment. But yeah, we're doing another one with no video. So, what are we doing today? Why, it is the Season 4 wrap-up episode. Already, you may be thinking? No, of course you aren't. You know full well, by now, I imagine, that this season was only 4 episodes. I mean, unless this is your first episode, which, why would you start with the Season 4 wrap-up? What was your thought process on that? Anyway, if you've seen these previous season wrap-up episodes, you kind of know the drill by now. I have a guest count down the numbers and names of the movies. I talk a little bit about them. Normally, I would announce what the next season is, but since I already did that at the end of the previous wrap-up, I announced the seasons 4 and 5 sets. So you probably already know that season 5 is going to be mobster movies. So, I think once I finish the countdown, I'll just call it a day. Special thanks to this season's countdown voice, Tony Goldmark of the YouTube channel Some Jerk with a Camera. So let's just go ahead and get it started with...
Number 4! Streets of Blood!
The thing about Streets of Blood is... it's bad. It's really bad. The question is, what exactly is the worst part of it? Is it the mixed messages? Is it the odd editing choices? Or is it the heroes being just as violent and awful as the so-called villains of the piece? Well, I say so-called. The antagonists are shitty too. Let's not let them off the hook here. But, I'm going to go ahead and go with mixed messages being the worst part, with the bad Louisiana accents coming in a close second.
Number 3! Operation Endgame!
Operation Endgame has one joke, and that joke is, watch all these comic actors playing brutal assassins. Now, in fairness to the movie, the joke lands occasionally, but not enough to make it worth it. The only real standout, I think, was Rob Corddry, who was, with the benefit of hindsight, I didn't really mention this in the episode itself, but he actually does play the part fairly convincingly. You kind of get how this guy lasted in this job that long when you see him beating the snot out of someone younger and smaller than him while drunk, no less. You kind of buy that a guy like that would be good at his job, despite not giving off that impression the first time you meet him. But, the cheap ending, the fact that the joke doesn't land all the time, the lack of anyone to particularly root for, the kind of rather heavy-handed political message that I largely agree with, but is presented in a not that great of a fashion. Let's put it that way. So hence why that one is at number 3.
Number 2! Columbus Day!
Speaking of number 3, this movie almost ended up there. But the thing with Columbus Day is, despite having a couple of big strikes against it going in, with the whole named after a syphilitic genocidal rapist and being produced by a guy who has quite likely had at least 3 people killed, and who just recently compared the COVID-19 lockdown to his sexual assault allegations in a picture that, holy crap, I don't know if it was his choice to make it, to frame it so that the shadow of his nose made him look like he had a Hitler mustache, but either that or his photographer really didn't like him, in which case, good on you, photographer. But, despite that, and the fact that the movie ends with the main character getting back with his ex-wife, mainly through negging, which I complained about in the episode. I almost put this at the number 3 spot, but again, much like when I was recording the episode itself, with hindsight, I find myself softening on the movie, and fairly quickly, too. I mean, the thing is, ultimately, it's not quite that bad. It certainly drags. The worst drag is in the first half, definitely. The ending is problematic, but... And I also think it's mislabeled. You know, if you're going in expecting an action movie, you're going to be wildly disappointed. If you're expecting a heist movie, you're going to be wildly disappointed, even though a heist plays a role. But ultimately, it's a character drama, and it's an okay one. I've seen much, much better, but I've also seen much, much worse. So I guess all things considered, this averages out to just an okay movie, with some pretty good lines in it, which ultimately is enough to just barely put this above Operation Endgame, to put it into the top half. Now, before I say what the number 1 is, which you already know what that's going to be through process of elimination, but, you know the drill with these countdowns. In any other season, the top 3 movies on here would be middle of the pack, roughly. Not near the bottom or near the top. I think Streets of Blood would be near the bottom in any season. I mean, it wouldn't take the bottom spot in seasons 1, 2, or 3, because... No, it definitely would not take the bottom spot in seasons 1, 2, or 3. It is, as bad as it is still better than My Mom's a Werewolf, The Beach Girls, or The Vampire Happening. Yeah, this season was not super spectacular. Even with the number 1 movie, which is...
Number 1! The Killing Machine!
It's a competently made direct-to-DVD actioner from the late 2000s, early 2010s. Better than most of its compatriots, as anyone who's watched Bad Movie Beatdown regularly could probably tell you. Props for having actual moments of subtlety in it. Props to Dolph Lundgren, who made his directorial debut with this one, which makes it a little more notable, for acknowledging that he's not 20 years younger than he actually was when he was filming it. Other than that, though, I got nothing particularly bad to say about it, but nothing particularly great to say about it either. I mean, again, apart from it being better than average for most of that type of film. I mean, I wouldn't say no to watching it again, which is more than I could probably say for the other 3 movies in this list, but it's not something I'm going to go out of my way to do. Still, if you like Dolph Lundgren, you'll probably like this movie. It's not going to be your favorite of his, but I think you'll enjoy it. And so, this season comes to a close. Not with a bang, but with a whimper, because... I gotta be honest, the stress of this whole pandemic, on top of the fact that it's summer now, and I generally don't handle summer very well to begin with, as longtime subscribers to this channel know. I've never been officially diagnosed with summer seasonal affective disorder, but I certainly meet a lot of the criteria for it. And the fact that it's summer during a pandemic, it's just, ugh. Sorry to end this episode on a down note, folks, but I am really worried that this particular summer is just gonna break me. Anyway, assuming I don't get broken, tune in again. I don't know when, because I really, really, really want to be able to do the video portion for the next season. For season 5. We'll go ahead and throw up the season 5 title card again, although you probably already saw it at the end of the season 3 wrap-up. But hey, in case you forgot, here's a reminder. Drawn by the same artist who did the season 4 title card. Their information is going to be in the show notes for this episode, so you don't have to go all the way back to that one. Yeah, hopefully I'll get to be on camera again for season 5, which is really weird considering that part of the whole thing with this show is that I try to be on camera as little as possible. I had no idea how much I missed it until it was literally not allowed for weeks on end. for me to be able to do it.